So the question is, what's the role of silence? Do you always want to fill up a moment of communion with God with Word? That'd be one way to ask the question anyway. I wonder, I haven't studied the Psalm in this regard, so I don't know. I wonder if silence there means absence of meditated word, or if it doesn't mean something like, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10, be still, be quiet, stop striving, and know that I am God. Maybe the word quiet there, I'd have to just check, is a bigger word than just don't let anything come out of your mouth. Maybe it's a stillness of soul, it's a gathering of your thoughts, it's a ceasing of frenzy. You're not running around doing things in a kind of noisy, hectic life. You've settled yourself, you've focused yourself, and maybe you're not just rattling away right off the bat to God. You're stopping, shutting your mouth. Like when Jonathan Edwards died at age 54, his wife wrote a letter to their daughter and said, I put my hand on my mouth. Meaning, I mustn't say anything here because I might say something inappropriate. And she simply silences her mouth so that we don't just blab out something. And I would guess, I've tried this now and then, as you come to your place of prayer and your time of prayer, don't just run into it. Start chattering away about the need that you feel. Just get settled, be silent for a moment. You probably should whisper at least something. Like, Lord, I offer this silence to you. Please use it to prepare me to meet you, or just something like that, and then be silent. So when I stress meditation like I have been, I don't want to rule out moments of silence. I'll give you an example. I was with some pastors today for lunch, the Edgren Fellowship, and there came a point in our discussion about an hour into it where we were not sure what to do and where to go, and some planning we were making. And so I said, why don't we just stop and seek the Lord about what He might want us to do here and what He might be pleased to bring to mind that we have not yet thought of in regard to our planning. Well, now, if you pray a prayer like that, you better shut up for a minute. So to say, Lord, we've been talking, we've been reading, we've been studying, we've been discussing, but we have blind spots and we see through a glass darkly, and we may be missing entirely something important. So would you just come and help us to know what way you want us to go? And I think at that moment it's very good to be still, not to demand that some verse be in your mind at that moment. And so you wait, and He may well bring something to mind. I think He did. I think we made good progress after that. I really believe the Lord can bring thoughts to your mind about where you lost your brooch. You know, you can just stop. Here's what I do. I don't do it often enough, and I have kicked myself for not doing it more often. I'm going to a meeting, or I'm going elders meeting, or I'm coming to church, or I'm running off to somewhere, or on a vacation, or I've just packed up quick. I got to run to Winnipeg for 24 hours and give 2 talks. And I stop at the door as I leave my study, and I say, now, Lord, what have I forgotten that I'm going to be so upset with myself with on the plane? I have saved myself so much trouble by doing that. Now, what are you saying? You believe, what do you believe? That there can be new revelation from God? Well, I don't know what you're going to call it, but God can say pajamas, you know, or toothbrush, or your lectures, or, this has happened most often, the ticket, the plane ticket. Really, I just try to, at that moment, give myself about 30 seconds of silence. Lord, Am I ready? Is there a book I ought to be putting in my briefcase? I've done that. This happened Friday. And he said, why don't you take along a couple copies of Desiring God? You might meet somebody at a hotel. You might meet the maid who cleans your room and be able to leave her a book. I do that a lot. I sign books and leave them, say, thanks for cleaning my room, and leave them a free book. That's my best effort with silence. I'm sure I'm just nowhere near where some of you are in this issue of learning how to commune with God. So I'm just talking from where I am, and take it if it's helpful, and go beyond me, please. Colossians 2:20-23. If you have died with Christ to the elementary principles of the world, why, as if you were living in the world, do you submit yourself to decrees such as do not handle, do not taste, do not touch, which all refer to things destined to perish with use, in accordance with the commandments and teachings of men. These are matters which have, to be sure, the appearance of wisdom in self-made religion and self-abasement and severe treatment of the body, but are of no value against fleshly indulgence. So he lists off these, verse 21, don't handle, don't taste, don't touch. And he says, now why are you submitting to these worldly decrees? You have died with Christ to the elementary principles, maybe that's the right translation, stoicheia of the world or the universe. Why, as if still living in them, do you submit yourself to these? Now, my sense there is what that verse means is the elementary principles are a way of relating to God that relates to Him mainly through rules. Don't eat, don't taste, don't handle, don't touch. That's the way you get right with God. That's the way you maintain your rightness with God. There's these ceremonial things, and fasting would be one of them perhaps. And don't eat catfish because it's slimy on the outside and doesn't have scales, and etc. And those are the elementary things of the world. Why in the world are you still doing that, he says? These are matters which have to do, to be sure, with the appearance of wisdom and self-made religion and self-abasement. So there he's addressing the issue of self-abasement, that is denying yourself food, and severe treatment of the body, that would be possibly extended fasting, but are of no value against fleshly indulgence. So, I think I quoted this verse in the very first page of the book. The book starts by saying, beware of books on fasting, and beware of fasting. Fasting carries as many dangers, probably, as it does benefits. And this is one of them. Namely, the flesh can use fasting as much as the flesh can be subdued by fasting. Because the flesh is not, in Paul's thinking, only or perhaps mainly what the body feels. You read the works of the flesh in Galatians 5:19 following, there are things like anger and pride and divisiveness. That's not body stuff, that's soul stuff. So the flesh are those outcroppings of the human heart that aren't reliant upon God and aren't manifestations of the Spirit. And he says, fasting per se is not going to fix that. In fact, it might deepen it, because you can boast in fasting big time, which is why Jesus had to warn against doing it in front of people, right? In Matthew 6. Those folks were fasting to be seen by men, which means it was pure flesh.